Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another first Descendant video. So time for my DAB build update. I was waiting for the patch that we got a few days ago before making the video because I did not want to, update the video so soon. But yeah, they did not buffer directly, but they made a lot of quality of life changes, making it a bit easier to use her. So they've sped up the animation and things like that for her skills. So what I'm going to do here is slightly different to my usual videos. I'll show you the build process. Because there are newer players and also this is the first time we are working with dice, so I wanted to get the basics like the how to manage the crit rate and the HP and things like that. So let's start with that first. We have the passive Frozen Delight. When a melee weapon is equipped, increases stats proportional to max HP. When using the glacial clash skill, gains delight proportional to its duration. Stats increase in proportion to the delight gauge. So on the right hand side it says delight max amount 1000, skill power delight times 0.035. What that means is when your custom resource, the one you see at the bottom, when this is full, you get base skill power times 35. So when you use this up, you won't have this much remaining. I have no mods here, so we can just try this. So you can see I've lowered this to around a third of it, and so you'll see the base skill power has gone down. Okay, so this is handy to increase your skill power. The other thing is the crit rate. So this crit rate scales with your HP. So right now, when you're holding the sword in your hand, the melee weapon. So right now I'm holding the normal weapon, the Typhoon. And if you see our crit rate, we are at 20%. This is the base crit rate. Now what I'll do is I'll switch and hold the sword. Now we have 9700 from the components, the HP. So this will increase our crit rate to 32. You can get a maximum of 45% crit rate using just HP. And the number you want is basically 45 divided by 0.0013, which is around 34,615. Now getting 34,615 might be tricky. So we can manage with some crit mods as well. So first let's add 1 HP just to show you how it scales. Actually, we should use these features now. HP will use Stim Accelerant because she doesn't use MP, so the MP loss is not even relevant here. So we'll get the most HP using Stim Accelerant. Now we are at 18,900 HP and our crit rate has gone up to 44.57. Good, we can add some more. So now let's add the critical hit rate mods. So we have front lines and we have emergency measures. So this one has crit damage and crit rate, 27.7% crit rate, and we have 64.6% crit rate, which is 92.3 together. And so now we are at 85, almost there. We just need a tiny bit more. So instead of using skill insight, which gives us a lot, we can either go with a second HP module, but even that will be overkill, or we can use a little bit from the Arche Tuning. So if we go with another HP, let's say we go with increased HP, we will end up with a lot of HP, 27,000, and comfortably 100% crit rate. But instead of having 2 crit rate more, especially when we are so close to 100%, what we could do is we could use that for another damage mod. All right, now if we look at her skills, Chill Fusion, Chill Singular, Chill Fusion, Chill Fusion. So we want to use Chill and Fusion, so we go with focus on Chill. Focus on Chill goes here, and we go with do we have? I haven't used this much. Focus on Fusion. Okay, so this will also give us cooldown. Now, focus on Fusion isn't really relevant because if you look at the modifiers, you have skill power times 4026. That's a very high modifier. Another 68 isn't going to make much of a difference. Even here we have 1810. Over here we have 8322. So another 68 isn't going to make much of a difference. We are mostly taking this for cooldown. Okay. So next, what we can do now is we did get the crit rate, but we can still go with the crit damage. So we'll take critical hit damage and we'll use our standard concentration module to increase our crit damage further. And now if you look at the range of her fourth skill, for example, Base range is radius 6 meters, and max expandable range is 250%. So we want to increase our range. So we can go with where is range? I don't see range over here. So we have our standard expansion. This will give us a 92% increase. And if you look now, we are at 11.5. 250% will be 15. So we try to get close to 15. So we'll take the second range mode, which is the amplification control. And now we are almost there. The tiny bit remaining, we can take the node in the Arche tuning and cover that. Now, the only thing remaining is the cooldown. So we have our trusted standard cooldown mods in MP conversion and nimble fingers. MP conversion, nimble fingers, used in almost every build. And what we have at the end here is 22 seconds on our fourth ability. 90% cooldown will mean 12. So we want to get as close to 12 as possible. So this is the build ready. Now I'll come back for the ancestors mod adjustment later. But for now, let's go to the Arche tuning and get our remaining crit rate, range, and things like that. Okay, so let's go to the Arche tuning. We'll take the skill nodes. We'll take the cost reduction a little bit. Let's take one range and see if we can max out our range. 15.1, we are already at max range. So we don't need any more. If you wanted the enhanced skill power, you could go further, but let's go here for now. Take the remaining skill power. Now, Dia doesn't use MP, so these are going to get wasted, but we do want the cooldown. So we are going to sacrifice 4 nodes just to get hold of this. And now our cooldown should be a lot better. We are now down to 15.4%. This is about 87.2% cooldown. Ideally, we want the 90%. We'll come back to that and see if we can find another way of increasing the cooldown. Now we want the crit damage nodes here. Again, we are going to waste a couple of MP nodes, but we want all three of the crit damage. Now remember our crit rate, 85.76. So we have some crit rate nodes over here. Why don't we take some of them? So let's take one here. Another MP wasted. We take one here. This will take us to 88. We take this one. Now we are at 96. And let's take this one, see if we can max it out. 99. So we can maybe take 1 HP here, and this should take us to 100. We can also drop this blue one and take the purple HP, because more HP will also help with survivability and will also increase the crit rate. So now we are getting 100% this way as well. So yeah, so that is handy. And now with the remaining nodes, we go up here and we take the chill chain catalyst. Mutant Cell, I've already had this here. You can also take chill cohesion. Cohesion will increase your chill power further, and chill chain catalyst will reduce the enemy's resistance to chill. Okay, so we still have a couple remaining. You can take a couple more HP nodes if you wanted, maybe one of the skill power, so maybe something like this. And so what we have done is we have maxed out our range, we have maxed out our crit range, we have taken a lot of HP. We end up with 20,700 HP, which is perfect. We have 100% crit rate. We have the full 250% range. So our skills will reach their maximum, will hit with the highest crit rate and things like that. So now let's look at the Ancestors modules options. So what we would like to do, she is a chill descendant. Hopefully we can get some chill. We can get some crit damage, chill power, crit damage, fusion power would be handy, and also cooldown would be very useful. Now, unfortunately, I have not been lucky with the drops. This is all I've managed in about a week, 3 of our Ancestors modules, but I did get one which can work for us. So here I have duration, crit damage, and cooldown. Duration we don't really need. Ideally, I want crit damage, fusion power, cooldown, or crit damage, chill power, and cooldown. Those 3 would be ideal. Fusion, chill, crit damage. Cooldown, I kind of want cooldown because that'll make it fun. And we have 9.5% cooldown over here. This is excellent because we are going to lose 6.1 if we replace this. And we were at 87, so we were 2.8 short of 90. This will make up for both of them and will also give us some crit damage and a tiny bit of duration, which again, we don't really need, but it'll help. The downside is the singular skill modifier, which makes literally no difference. So yeah, so over here, well, it does make a difference, to be fair, but tiny bit. So yeah, so now we got the cooldown to 90, which is the minimum, and our skill will now be 12 seconds. Okay, so that is the build the ancestors, and now we put in the trigger module. So we will mostly be using our first skill. So if you see the category, it's a clash, toe, and skill weapons. So if we go over here, we press this, and these are the trigger modules that will work with our first skill. We have the Vanguard, we have the Icebreaker. This is the one that came with her. However, the Vanguard tends to work better, at least for me, because for the Icebreaker, you have to get the stacks, and those stacks are difficult to get. The 30 stacks of Icebreaker, they are very difficult to get, because it's not like you hit an enemy once and you get the stack. You have to like sort of hit them again and again every 2 seconds. And so getting those 30 stacks is very difficult. I've finished entire dungeons without getting to 30. So the Steel Vanguard is just better because we also get the damage interval is only 1 second. So we constantly get the damage from here based on how much HP and shield we have. So this is just overall more convenient. If you see, it matches the clash skill, so we can use that over here. Now for the Inversion Reinforcement, I have used this one because we are going to use the sword occasionally, and we are also going to reduce the incoming damage. And this is especially for Daya. This one will increase her crit damage. So when you hit enemies, it will increase the crit damage. Now you can increase her crit damage in multiple ways. Your second skill will increase your crit damage. This will increase your crit damage, and your external component set will increase the crit damage. Speaking of external components, we have the full 4 pieces of the Polar Knight. The roles are slightly different because she doesn't use MP. So skip all the MP nodes, MP roles, and go with something like, over here I've gone with HP and module drop rate. Over here I've gone with shield recovery, out of combat, and HP recovery modifier. Over here we have defense and shield recovery in combat. And then over here we have the usual max shield and shield recovery. So anywhere where we had the MP, we swap that with either shield or HP recovery so that she can recover health faster and things like that. Now the 4-piece effect, the 2-piece effect is chill power, so you get a little bit of chill power. The 4-piece effect is when you hit enemies, you get stacks of the frostbite, which basically looks like a gun. So let me get some enemies here. So if you go through enemies, you see that gun at the end with 10. Those are the stacks of frostbite, and for 5 seconds you get a crit damage increase. I wish it was a little longer, but we still get plenty of crit damage with Daya. So that is how the 4 pieces work for the extra crit damage. The Reactor is the frozen mixture, which is chill and fusion, and we want crit damage and cooldown. And so I'll just quickly go over her skills, and then I'll leave you with the footage of the dungeons. The first skill, when you press it, this is called Snowflake Clash. This is Snowflake Clash. When you hold it, it becomes Glacial Breakthrough, and you do a bunch of damage. You inflict Snowflake on the enemy, which is another small AoE, and you also slow them down with something called White Panic, which is the status on the enemy. The second skill is called Ice Ball, but it's more like a dome around her. It increases her defense by 50%, crit damage by 50%, and when it ends, it recovers your health by 15%, and also it increases the speed of your Glacial Clash. So let's do all of that together. Let's get one Vulgus here, just to see the effect of the second skill. So defense is 35,955. Crit damage is 5.972. So these two things will go up. You'll see a sort of dome around her. And when you press the dome first time, it'll be an explosion. When it ends, you'll recover your health. So keep an eye on the health. We have, how much do we have? 13,080. So I'm going to press the skill now. That's the AoE. Look at defense, 53,000, gone up from 35. Look at this, 6.71, gone up from 592. And wait for the dome to end. And we should get the health back. Keep an eye on the over there. There we go. Health goes up. Another thing that this does is it increases the speed of your breakthrough when you hold your first skill. So you're getting more damage, more defense, and you're getting faster speed on your first ability. Okay, now the third skill, this is a fun one. So what it does is when you use it, you don't need custom resource to use this one. So when you use this, it'll tow all the enemies together. Okay, and then you can hit them with your fourth or with your first. So you do this, you hit with your third, and then you do it again, and she flips. So you can cause 2 explosions. At the end of the second explosion, you'll also get your custom resource back. So if we do this, you hit this again, and you can see your custom resource recovering as well. And then our fourth skill, so with this one, she goes up in the air and throws her spear and does a bunch of damage. Now, if you hold for a second, you'll do more damage because it charges things up. So right now you saw I just threw it instantly without charging. And over here we did 333,975,000 damage. Now I'll just reset these guys. Now I'll charge it before releasing. So let's get the custom resource, hold it for a second. And now let's look at the damage. We're already well past our damage from last time. We should be, yeah, just over 1 billion. So yeah, charge it before releasing. And then if you use the second ability to increase the crit damage, you'll do even further damage. So yeah, so those are her skills. Hopefully that made sense. And yeah, so you need to hold the shadow. Once again, here's the build for the shadow. I'll not go into detail because I've been doing this in several videos. Okay, that is the build for the shadow. And we covered everything else. Now I'll just leave you with some footage. I'll try and see how many of the dungeons I can cover. I want to cover all 3 of them, but the video might be too long, so I might not do all 3. I mean the 3 in Supermassive, Forbidden Sanctuary, and the underwater base. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Exterminating. Target acquired. Approaching. Subduing the target. Approaching. Exterminating. Shield damaged. Eliminating. Target confirmed. Target acquired. Target acquired. Shield down. Eliminating. Target acquired. Eliminating. Exterminating. There's no target confirmed. Target acquired. Exterminating. Approaching. Eliminating. Target confirmed. Approaching. Target acquired. Shield charge required. Target confirmed. There's no escape. Eliminating. Subduing the target. Eliminating. 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 There's no escape. Target confirmed. Eliminated. Target confirmed. Exterminating. Target confirmed. Approaching. Exterminating. Exterminating. There's no escape. Exterminating. Target acquired.
Initiating the underwater base search operation, Descendant. Multiple Vulgus approaching from the front. Neutralize them.
Beginning target neutralization. Eliminating. Eliminating. Target confirmed. Exterminating. Beginning target neutralization. Target confirmed. My shield. Target confirmed. Exterminating. Exterminating.
Entrance security disarmed. Descendant, proceed inside. Descendant, destroy the device up ahead.
Exterminating. Eliminating. Exterminating. Eliminating.
Multiple Vulgus signals detected in the operation zone. Proceed with caution.
Target acquired.
We're detecting multiple Vulgus signals.
Target confirmed. Target acquired. Shield down. Eliminating. Target acquired. No.
You need to use your hover bike from here on out. Descendant, massive energy signal detected inside the laboratory. Be careful.
Target acquired. Target acquired. Approaching.
Operation complete. Great job, Descendant.